From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
Well, good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce, and this is Eye on Washington, the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, protecting you, protecting your resources. We'll find out how one Nevada leader is working to do both, thanks to his two committee assignments. He is my guest today, Nevada U.S. Congressman Stephen Horsford. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
Well, Nevada hit a jackpot when our Congressman Horsford got his committee assignments this year. And today on Eye on Washington, we'll learn about the jurisdictions of the House Homeland Security and Natural Resource Committees. We'll find out why these committees matter greatly to Nevada, and we'll ask my guest what he hopes to accomplish for you while serving on them. Well, let's focus this segment on the Homeland Security Committee. It was established to provide congressional oversight for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and better protect the American people against a possible terrorist attack. You know, Las Vegas and Hoover Dam both have been mentioned numerous times as being among this nation's potential terrorism threat areas. You may recall that on New Year's Eve 2003, officials nearly canceled the nation's second largest celebration due to terrorism worries stemming from what they called, quote, very real intelligence and chatter involving Las Vegas. In fact, the area has been in terrorism-related news so often that members of our delegation fought several years ago to have it included in the Urban Area Security Initiative. That program provides high-threat cities with grants to help them prepare for disasters or terrorist attacks. In light of all of this, it might be good that Congressman Horsford now serves on the Homeland Security Committee. It specializes in a lot of things crucial to our life and well-being, including border and maritime security, counterterrorism and intelligence, cybersecurity and infrastructure protection, emergency preparedness, and transportation security. And Congressman, I bet you remember when the nation was code yellow, but Las Vegas was code orange during that credible chatter scare. That was a scary time for the area, wasn't it?
It was, particularly with our tourism economy, because that affects people's confidence in travel, which affects, you know, our success as a resort destination of the world. And so this is a very critical area where we will be working with our local law enforcement officials. I met with the sheriff recently to talk about what we could do together to make sure we keep Las Vegas and our region on the top priority to receive these Homeland Security grants.
Why did you so much want to be on this committee? Your press office has told me that both this and the Natural Resources Committee were real high on your, pretty much tops on your list, in fact. Why this committee?
Well, first,
for you, though, I know what it does, but why was it important to you personally?
Well, I like to be where I can help accomplish things and meet the needs of my constituents. And our constituents in Congressional District 4 need to know that we're protected. You know, not only the people who live in our area, but we have nearly 40 million visitors that come to our community, some 50 million that come to the state of Nevada. And so we have to do everything we can to keep people safe. And it starts with the resources that are provided by the Homeland Security Department.
You know, committee members have helped pass some landmark legislation over the years, just the Safe Port Act, FEMA reform, chemical plant security legislation. It's a really diverse topics, isn't it, that are included in Homeland Security type legislation that you might be considering or even authoring yourself.
Yes, and that is also another key area, is that it is so broad and covers so many industries. Let me just talk about one. We received a briefing from the director of the FBI, Mr. Mueller, and he talked about the cybersecurity threats on our financial services sector, on our major telecommunications networks, and on our data systems. And Nevada, we actually have one of the largest data warehousing infrastructures in the Intermountain West. with Switch and some of the other companies that are there. And so we have to do everything that we can to protect that infrastructure. It's important to the private sector, it's important to our government agencies, and it's important to all of us as individuals.
When you go home and visit with your constituent, what are some of the, if there are some, assuming there are some, what are some of the any of the, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's terrorism, et cetera, what are some of the concerns that you hear from folks that you visit with?
Well, outside of jobs and the housing situation, which we hear about
specifically to Homeland Security
a lot, is the area of our security now in a global sense. And the fact that, some of these terrorists are not operating with weapons alone anymore. They're using technology against us. They are literally trying to take down our banking institutions that affect our commerce. They're trying to affect our telecommunications, which allow us to communicate. And these are all systems that we have to work very hard to protect, and it's one of the areas that I look to specialize in.
We're really out of time in this segment. I just want to point out that other Homeland Security delegation efforts by Nevada's delegation, there's been funding to create an emergency operations center in Las Vegas, as well as the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center is big. There's been funding to increase custom and border protection officers at McCarran, security upgrades at the North Las Vegas and Carson City airports. A lot of legislation, a lot of stuff that you're going to be looking at and improving on,
and fighting to preserve and protect. Obviously, there's a lot of discussions about how we are going to balance the federal budget, but we have to do it in ways that aren't detriments to our local economies or our needs in Southern Nevada.
Great. And when we return, if you care about mining, energy, water, I hope you'll stay tuned. That's right after this.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by the National Mining Association, Caesars Entertainment, NV Energy, the LVCVA, the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, Western Lithium Corporation, the Nevada Mining Association, Station Casinos, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, and Skyline Restaurant and Casino.
America's minerals have made us a nation of self-reliant dreamers, shaping our world and the endless ways we enjoy it. But red tape often forces us to import more than half the minerals we depend on. Minerals we already have. We don't import our dreams. Shouldn't that go for our minerals too? The National Mining Association. Learn more at nma.org.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce is Nevada's top source of federal news on television and on radio. But if you want even more Nevada-focused news from Washington, you need to subscribe to our Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter. Nevada's Washington Watch is the only publication that links Nevadans to Capitol Hill. Like our Eye on Washington program, Nevada's Washington Watch keeps you in the know on all the top federal issues that impact you, your family, and your business. Subscribe today at joycecommunications.com. That's joycecommunications.com.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
What is HOPE? It's a community's commitment to stopping violence against women and children. The Shade Tree Shelter continues to keep its doors and hearts open 24 hours a day to offer help, healing, and hope to women and families in crisis. For more information, call 385-0072 or visit www.shadetree.org. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can help save lives.
Welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of Homeland Security and Natural Resource Committees and why they matter to you in Nevada. My guest today is talking about that, Nevada U.S. Congressman Stephen Horsford. Well, Nevada might be a smaller state, but it has some gigantic resources issues, and many of them involve federal legislation. So isn't it good news for Nevada that both my guest and Congressman Amodei serve on the House committee from which much legislation important to you can originate? The House Natural Resources Committee has jurisdiction over a whole lot of Nevadans, areas that Nevadans care most about. There are 20 areas of committee jurisdiction, so I'll just highlight a handful of the ones you might be most interested in. Public lands, mining interests generally, energy and mineral resources, fisheries and wildlife, interstate compacts relating to apportionment of water for irrigation purposes, irrigation and reclamation, including water supply and reclamation projects and easements of public lands for irrigation projects, and relations with Native Americans and Native American tribes. And there are more that are national in focus. If we have time, I'll get to a couple of those. But boy, are there things here Nevadans care about. Energy, mining, water.
Well, and because 80% of Nevada land is managed by the BLM,
I was going to get to the big one, lands. Yep.
We have to have this representation on this committee because the BLM controls so much about what we can do in our own state with these lands. And so that's why Congressman Amodei and I, as former colleagues in the state Senate and now again on this committee, can really work together to make sure that we're doing everything we can for the people of the state of Nevada.
They could almost call this the Nevada Committee, couldn't they?
It really is. It's a Western Lands Committee in particular because, again, so much of our land is controlled by the BLM, and outside of the BLM, we also have the wildlife agencies, the EPA, and there's others that really have specific jurisdiction under the Natural Resources Committee.
You know, it's great that you and Congressman Amodei both are on the program. You mentioned in the last time we were together about a spirit of cooperation in Washington, D.C., and this is something that you and the congressman, although you're in different parties, you really can work together on this committee to protect Nevada's interests, can't you? We
can. We've already met. We've talked about co-authoring legislation, introducing legislation that's important to my area in Congressional District 4 and to Congressman Amodei's area in District 2. Everything from some of the land exchange bills to some of the national monuments that we're trying to establish for national parks. So there is a big willingness on my part, working with Congressman Amodei and everyone in our delegation to make sure that we're doing what we can to move Nevada forward. Tell us a little more about those monuments. So the major project is the Tule Springs project that we're trying to get listed on the as a national monument and a park designation. So legislation will be introduced on that, as well as the Gold Butte project out in Mesquite, working with the local stakeholders there to bring that legislation forward. These are important, first and foremost, to the protection of the archaeology and to the area, but also from a standpoint of recreation tourism. They are landmarks that we want people to come out and see and enjoy, but we want to do it in a way that preserves the richness of those lands. You know, I just want to point out that there are some other areas of oversight I just wanted to give you a chance to comment on and know about it. This committee really encompasses just a really wide range of important stuff. Forfeiture of land grants, the Geological Survey, which often is in the news, international fishing agreements is handled on this committee, marine affairs, oceanography, the transatlantic oil pipeline, that's a biggie, and preservation of prehistoric ruins, among others. And here's an interesting one, conservation of the radium supply in the United States. So it's just a real many different types of topics that really important to this nation. Very broad. We'll be learning about some of those issues beyond what's very important to Congressional District 4, but the great part is they're issues that directly affect us in Nevada. And from the mining issues, you talked about the tribal agreements that we have in place and making sure that we're working in partnership with our tribal leaders, because we have many tribal governments in Congressional District 4, and we'll continue to work with them in partnership.
All right. And when we return, how my guest hopes to use his seat on Homeland Security and Natural Resources to best serve you. That's right after this.
Every day, thousands of people in northern Nevada don't get enough to eat. 1 out of 5 children in northern Nevada go to bed hungry every night. But you can do something about it. Catholic Community Services of Northern Nevada has been providing help and creating hope in our community for more than 65 years. By donating food, time, or money, you can make a difference in a hungry person's life. When you make your generous donation to St. Vincent's Dining Room and St. Vincent's Food Pantry, you're helping to fight the scourge of hunger in northern Nevada. In these tough economic times, now more than ever, we need to help those less fortunate. To find out how you can donate to St. Vincent's Dining Room and St. Vincent's Food Pantry, call, click, or stop by, and together we can end hunger in northern Nevada.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
This girl is very pretty. It's inciting feelings of jealousy in me. We should pick on her.
I'm insecure about some things, so I think we should put some me stuff on here. Maybe even some lies, too.
Yeah. I just want to be accepted by you both. So I'm going to send this to my friends so they think I'm cool.
Kids bully for all kinds of reasons. None of them are good. Find ways to get involved at flipthescriptnow.org.
How will new energy technology make our lives better? Will geothermal, wind, and solar energy be a bigger part of our future? Yes. And soon it will all be in our backyard. Learn more at nvenergy.com.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of Homeland Security and Natural Resources Committees and why they matter to Nevada. We've been visiting with Nevada U.S. Congressman Stephen Horsford. Well, let's look now at what my guest hopes to do on behalf of Nevada on his committees. I'll focus on natural resources here, and we'll touch on Homeland Security in a moment. The Congressman's District 4 includes the northern portion of Clark County, as well as all or part of Lincoln, White Pine, Nye, Esmeralda, Mineral, and Douglas counties. So he has constituents who care about so much under the committee's jurisdiction: mining, energy, grazing, ranching, and related public lands matters, wildlife, water irrigation and reclamation, and other resource issues. The congressman will have some say and sway over those matters on that committee. He has highlighted clean energy as a particular focus for this congressional session, and he has said he'd like to carry forward his work on the type of renewable energy legislation he worked on while serving in the state Senate. We should touch briefly on mining here too, since the congressman has told Eye on Washington he's serving in a district in which public lands and mining issues are big. His colleague and fellow committee member, Congressman Congressman Amedee is expected to make some big news when he reintroduces his bill on critical and strategic minerals sometime this spring. That measure, which we told you about here on Eye on Washington last year, would make the federal mine permitting process much more efficient and is greatly wanted by the National Mining Association and Nevada's many mining companies. Congressman, I want to talk about your own plans for this committee. Let's start with energy production in general and clean energy in particular. You've said it's a biggie for you. What did you work on in Nevada, and what did you hope to do for clean energy efforts there while in the state Senate, and how do you hope to carry that forward here?
Well, the objective for Nevada is for us to become a net exporter of renewable energy. First and foremost, we helped establish the state law that requires 25% of the energy that is produced in the state by NV Energy to be from renewable energy resources such as wind, solar, geothermal. We have met that 25%, and now we really should be positioning ourselves to be a net exporter, meaning getting it to end users in places like California, Arizona, Idaho, and others. And so that is an area where the Natural Resources Committee has a focus because of the federal lands issue and working with our local governments. It's an area that I've worked on previously and that I think is great for the state of Nevada because it's creating new industry, it's creating jobs, and it's reducing our reliance on other types of traditional energy.
You know, regarding mining, the bill shortening the permitting process, it would be a big deal for Nevada companies. They have to wait so many years to get permits while other countries have much shorter wait times, and therefore they're able to mine more quickly and efficiently, which puts us years behind other countries in metal and mineral production. Are you supportive of your colleagues' effort on this?
I haven't reviewed the specific legislation, and I'm sure Congressman Amedee and I will meet to go over it, but I have worked with companies like Midway Gold in White Pine that are bringing new projects online, and I have experienced with them kind of the delay in the bureaucratic process, even when the environmental and other issues have been addressed. There's still layers of other approvals. Now, some of the regulatory oversight is necessary for the protection of our water and our air and our land, but we have to do it in a way that is streamlined, that does get these projects online, and that does it in a balanced and responsible way.
You know, we'll change course briefly and let you mention anything you're thinking of regarding the Homeland Security Committee that you personally are so involved with. You've mentioned cybersecurity. Is there something that you personally want to work on there?
Well, as I mentioned, the data warehousing, so this is a new and emerging industry in the state of Nevada. We have a tremendous infrastructure. We have the ability actually to help build upon the infrastructure that was invested at the Nevada test site and even potentially Yucca Mountain as additional areas where we can grow that data warehousing infrastructure so that we are not only providing that support in the Intermountain West, but possibly for the whole United States. And that is a tremendous opportunity and something that Nevada can be on the cutting edge of.
Anything to do with airports, security at airports that is both a bane as you travel and anything important to you when you think of Nevada's airports?
Well, clearly, and because again, we have one of the largest airports at the Clark County Airport, working with our leaders there, talking with Randy Walker and Rosemary Vasiliadis, who have been leaders in airport security in the country, maybe working to help position the best practices of McCarran Airport so that we can replicate those models elsewhere, and continuing to make sure that McCarran is at the top of airport security, because again, it protects our residents, but it also protects those millions of visitors that come through our airports each and every year.
Okay, and when we return, it's time for our mailbag segment. That's right after this.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
America's minerals have made us a nation of self-reliant dreamers, shaping our world and the endless ways we enjoy it. But red tape often forces us to import more than half the minerals we depend on. Minerals we already have. We don't import our dreams. Shouldn't that go for our minerals too? The National Mining Association. Learn more at nma.org.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And we're back with our closing segment of Eye on Washington. It is our mailbag segment. In this segment, we tell you about an issue our guest is receiving a lot of correspondence about on the Joyce Communications website. We read one of your letters on the air, and then we invite our guest to respond to you right here. And Congressman, this one comes to you from Richard of Las Vegas. He says, Dear Congressman, what are some of the biggest challenges you've found working with the interests of unions and large for-profit corporations? Is there anything Congress can do to make those issues smaller? How do you respond to Richard?
Well, it's an interesting question. In my previous employment as the head of the Culinary Academy, it was a joint labor partnership between the Culinary Workers Union and Bartenders Union and 26 of the largest private sector employers. And so it's about finding the common objectives that each wants to achieve and how we can work together to do that. And it's what I've done for more than a decade, and it's what I'll continue to do here as a member of Congress. I believe in getting all the stakeholders around a table to be inclusive around policy making, listening to everyone's voice and perspective, and then working together to get the legislation done that's good for the state of Nevada.
I think his concern as well was, is there anything Congress can do? So you're hoping to kind of bring that forward, what you know from Nevada, and bring it here, right?
It is important to have people around the table and to talk together so we understand where they're coming from and how we can work together.
Thanks for being here again today. Look forward to having you on the show again. That does wrap up this week's Eye on Washington. Be sure to join us next time as we discuss more important federal matters and their impact on you in Nevada. Visit joycecommunications.com or our Facebook page for more of the very latest from the Hill that impacts your life. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a good day.